extremely moved. This is an artistic achievement for sure. This is a cinematic achievement for Hollywood, yes? But let me also say this is an American achievement for the story that you told. I don't have so many questions, but please, when you see this film and when you see the reaction, tell us what your hopes are for the story and what you were able to achieve.
We're still in the middle of it, so this is really surreal. It really is. I go back and we finished the color grade. I mean, we were just 2 days ago, like, fixing color on Wallace's tie. So we're still very much in the filmmaking process, and so to kind of step out and get this reaction, I feel like I'm kind of straddling two worlds, but certainly, feels good. This is Smokey Fontaine, by the way.
Brad, for your first reaction, a beautiful, beautiful set of images. Tell us, please, when you see this work.
Ava, anyway, thank you all. So I hadn't seen the film until 2 weeks ago, right before we saw the color grade, and my wife was at work, and I was there by myself with my little son, and she came home, and I was like, I just need a few minutes of darkness, so I went in the bathroom, and I sat by the toilet and watched the film. And obviously by the last reel, I had lost it. My wife came in, and I'm sitting on the toilet, crying. She's like, what's going on? And I was just so really proud of Ava, this is, obviously this is a collaboration that I cherish. This is my sister. This is a collaboration I cherish. This is an artist that I really believe in. This is an artist who I believe speaks for us. So for me, it's just an honor. This is pure honor for whatever image you see up there that you like. It's generated from her brain first and sort of transfused into me. So I'm just gracious that I have the opportunity to be by her side. Every time I'm by her side, my life changes in immeasurable amounts. So I'm just thankful.
Ava, tell us, if you will, give us a sense of the history of how this project came together. I mean, we saw so many struggles on the screen of how these big movements happen with the small moments and the decisions that are made and the choices that are made. But tell us about some of the choices you made to tell this kind of story that we just saw.
Well, I came through the project through David Oyelowo, who Bradford and I worked with on our other film, Middle of Nowhere. Teeny tiny film that 4 people saw. Very small film that we worked on with David, who we fell in love with. And so David brought this project to us because he had been attached through another director, Lee Daniels, previously. And so when that project kind of fell apart, David really kept it alive and kept asking the producers, can we do this? Can I gain the weight? Can we find somebody else? What can we do? And he brought me to them, and then I, mobbed in with all my people like he's done. And so yeah, that's basically how it happened. And our challenge in early conversations with Bradford and all the collaborators, Spencer Averick and my editor, and Mark Friedberg, our production designer, Ruth Carter, our costume designer, Aisha Coley, casting a massive cast, was always, how do you do a civil rights movie that hasn't been done? How do you do one that, because me, as someone who doesn't really like them, would be interested in, so we were always trying to deconstruct the genre, and then also just as people that are just, proud of our people to kind of get underneath the people of Selma. It's called Selma, it's not called King. So it was really important that we, adorn him in the film with this band of brothers and sisters who really made it happen. I mean, you can be a leader, but if there's no one following you, then what are you doing? So that was the core of what we tried to kind of attack every day with the images and with the narrative, and all the actors and all the craftspeople and artists rallied around that idea.
Talk a little bit more about the script and the story, because this is not a cradle to the grave film, very much on purpose. And you even said at times that you wanted to really kind of humanize Dr. King and tell a full story, the breadth of a man and of a family and a community. Tell us the kind of writing choices you made to help do that.
Yeah. Well, whenever a director comes on board, they're imbuing it with their point of view. Previously, you had a lot of directors, all male, figuring out what Selma meant to them. And so my version was very much kind of White House balanced with people on the ground. Other iterations of the script have been very focused on LBJ and King, like a mono thing between the two. But that's just like, okay, got it. Like, what's Coretta doing? What's happening over there? And what are all these people doing? And, you know, Amelia Boynton and Annie Lee Cooper and Richie Jean Jackson. I found this little book in a bookstore in Selma about this woman whose home they stayed in, Richie Jean Jackson, played by Niecy Nash. I just imagine them, all these brothers walking into her kitchen, looking at grits, and just getting into the texture of people, and you know, kind of like I said at the top, deconstructing the statue and the speech and the holiday, because we know those things, but it's just not enough. It's not the full story. So that was, I don't remember the question, but that was.
You answered. You answered.
Yeah, that's what we tried to. The story we tried to tell you.
This film, Ava, is personal for you because you have roots and family in Alabama. I recently saw you mention that your dad saw the film, or at least a review of the film. Tell us about how personal this was for you in terms of your family and your life.
Well, my father's from Lowndes County, so we keep having them talk about Lowndes County and the snipers that were, KKK snipers that were positioned in the trees in Lowndes County when they walked from Selma to Montgomery for the final march. My dad's farm, you see some people, some Southern folk in the black and white footage waving, like these are like folks that live deep south in those backwoods, and so that's where he's from. And so yeah, he lives there now with my mom and my 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Everyone lives in Montgomery. My mom works in Selma every day. One day we were scouting, we were on the Edmund Prentice Bridge, and remember that? And a car drives by and honks, and the crew's like, yo, who's that? And I was like, oh, that's my mom. And then on the final march day in Montgomery, which is the capital of Alabama, George Wallace wouldn't allow King and to stand on the marble steps. They had to build a platform. You see them walk on the platform. He wouldn't allow them to be on the platform. All those troopers behind King are guarding the steps, because Wallace would not let them step foot on the Capitol steps. Yet on this day, my father rolls up after his night shift, and his daughters shut down the streets of the Capitol. What's going on? Got a tear, and it was just one of the proudest moments of my whole life. So, you know, we just, Bradford's from Kentucky, you know, and just that whole kind of, one. And so, you know, just that rooted, very Southern feel is something that we try to bring.
Bradford, talk about the aesthetic of this film. I mean, this really continues some of the work that the both of you have been responsible for with the films that you mentioned, I Will Follow, Middle of Nowhere. I mean, there was a texture and there was a beauty and there was such a sense, right, of being there in the South and what it felt like, but just the images of blackness. Talk about how you kind of achieved that.
But before you answer, has anyone seen Pariah?
Yes.
Most Violent Year this year. I mean, the brother is a phenom. He's a young master. He's a genius. I mean, it's true. Yes. He likes black skin because he loves us. He loves how the light bounces off all colors. You see all those brothers? James Orange, Omar Dorsey. I mean, he is the color, you know, a beautiful, beautiful onyx color. Standing next to Diane Nash, who's just kind of like transparent, and she's able to light them both so you can see them both beautifully. That's not easy. So anyway,
No, this film is, you know, I started trying to make movies when I was 17, so, and obviously I was under the tutelage of Heidi Garima for pretty much most of my life, and actually moved back to DC just a year ago so that I could be closer to him. So, you know, I spent most of the greater part of my life just trying to wrap my mind around what you guys are talking about. It's going to be a lifelong journey for me. You know, hopefully my son will take it and move forward with it. Hopefully there's some other brothers and sisters that want to move forward with it as well. But for me, more than anything, this is the story that I feel like I studied long to make. You know, so with that many brothers and sisters in one room, whatever expertise you think I had before, it was definitely challenged here. And from my perspective, this is and I know from Ava's perspective too, this is like a very perfect gesture towards that. And I feel like we just really try to work hard to be truthful to the moment more than anything. And so I don't know, I just feel like I've been rehearsing for this. This was like the most challenging shoot for me photographically. This is the most challenging film for me to deal with after the photography. So now I have to deal with story again in the color grade, you know, and just try to be representative of what it could look like in real life. I know Ava knocked it out the story, but you know, like I said, all of the whatever vision you see there is just us really trying to work workshop ideas and go through it one more time. Chance again, keep hashing away at them.
Well, you knocked it out. Did he knock it out with the visual? We must talk about some of the performances, of course, and we will start with David Oyelowo. Tell us about his performance. How did he embody the spirit of that man that we've only seen as a poster, we've only seen as a soundbite so often, but he gave him such a spirit and such a sense of his own personal story.
Yeah, so David Oyelowo, it's yellow with 2 O's in front and back. Because people be like, what is all that? O's, W's, Y's, what? So yeah, Nigerian brother by way of the UK, first black man to play a king on the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, just a very accomplished actor who came to the United States in 2008 and always had a sense that he wanted to play Dr. King. And so really delved into this in the same way that Bradford and I did, with both feet and head, and just the whole thing, swimming in it every single day. And so beyond like the cosmetic, the 30 pounds and the shape back of the hair and the timbre of the voice and all of that, he was just doing real deep spiritual work to try to align himself with King in these moments. And he lived in it. I mean, we'd be at the food truck, and we'd be at the food truck with Dr. King. He'd be like, hey, you're gonna have a rib. I'm like, yes. We didn't have to call him Dr. King, we called him David, but still, I mean, he was carrying King with him through that whole 3 months. And there were some cast members who didn't know that he was British until he's British. I didn't know that he was British until they saw him at the premiere party like 3 days ago. I was like, someone was like, yo, what's happening? And so yeah, he transformed himself and just committed to this character in such an exquisite way. He's a beautiful human being, and he deserves to have, so many of our actors deserve to have a platform where they can in every scene just kill it and really show what they can do, and so few of them get to do it. So I love that brother. I'm so happy he had the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
You must talk about Oprah, but first talk about Oprah Winfrey as an actor, as an actress in the film, and then of course what she's meant to the production of, and just the fact the film as a reality.
Yeah, she wanted to be a producer, but she didn't want to be an actor. But when I look at 60-year-old black women, right, who are really able to kind of grasp, period drama. She's at the top of the list. I mean, it's a short list of 2 or 3 people, and I think she was fantastic in The Butler. I think she's fantastic in Philadelphia. She just has to get past the Oprah factor, but I mean, she's no less a committed actor who definitely just delves in and does the work. So that was the acting side, but it was really as a producer where she basically put us on her back and carried us over the finish line in every single way that a producer does. Creative producer, physical producer. You've not heard a call until you've heard Oprah Winfrey jump on with the bond company, the insurance company. The little guy at his desk, and he's talking about numbers, and she says, "This is Oprah Winfrey. Do you have any questions I can answer?" I think I got it. I'm good. The numbers look good. Thank you. So yeah, it was great to just have her there, and like I said before, she was like Moses, who just kind of parted the water, and Bradford and I just kind of went through behind her. So many obstacles and so many things. We didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough time, and from day one in pre-production all the way to last week in post-production, she's every day in it, in a way that she hadn't been in the previous films as a producer. So I can't say enough. Wonderful lady. Everything that you hope or think she could be in the best way, she's that times. And I mean, just really a special spirit.
We're going to open this up again, please.